personally, I feel if you're going to fight somebody, you should kill them. You should at least be willing to kill them. And that's because I guess I never really want to be in a situation where a former enemy of mine comes back to kill my family, which thankfully I'm seldom in situations where that might arise. But like the reason Jason Statham is in danger in the first place, that his daughter is in danger in the first place, is because he failed to kill the original crime boss. If he had, if he had either A, arrested him in an intelligent maneuver where nobody died, or B, made sure the crime boss died, then he wouldn't be in danger, right? There would be no motivation for villains to be coming to his house and menacing him and his daughter. But I'm trying to think who it was who said it. I think it was an American president. For some reason, my brain is flying the name Woodrow Wilson, who said something like, maybe Winston Churchill, who said something like, never make the mistake of injuring your opponent. And they don't mean, never hit your opponent. They mean when you hit somebody, hit them until they're dead. Like a small wound is going to make someone mad at you. So don't do any small injuries to people. And if you do, apologize and fix it immediately. If you're going to fight somebody, then kill them. So I didn't like the scene where he decides to let James Franco live. How I would have preferred to see it is, he's beating him up, never threaten my daughter, pulls out his gun to execute James Franco, looks up and sees his daughter and thinks, no, I guess I shouldn't. And then his daughter should say something like, kill him. Like, no, Daddy, I want you to kill him. And I'd be like, oh, okay. End of movie. Or, he's like, I can't kill you while my daughter watches. And then he looks up at his daughter, and his daughter covers her eyes. Something like that. I would have liked it a lot more. And really, when I first saw, or the first, misdeeds that James Franco's character does, I began to anticipate, like something Paris Hilton once said, is that any actor has to know how to make a good death scene or dying scene, something like that. And that thought was ringing in my mind when I saw James Franco's character. Like, how is he going to die? What will his facial expressions be as he's, I assumed at the time, beaten to death? I was kind of looking forward to, the setup of the movie reminds me of an Arnold Schwarzenegger film from the 80s. So I was looking forward to some kind of weird machine somehow grinding James Franco's body up. And, oh no, why? Or I don't know, I was thinking a saw blade at the time. But yeah, I was looking forward to some kind of, I said I'd kill you last kind of thing. And, seeing him mangled in some way. And I felt like that was a promise that the movie didn't fulfill on. In this movie, it seems an awful lot like James Franco will die. But he doesn't. And I'm kind of annoyed by that. And yeah, I would have had it to make him die. Speaking of the promise of the movie, or kind of the genre of the film, there is one part I did like, where there's a jump scare, I think is the term for it, where something suddenly lunges at you, at the camera, and causes you in the audience to jerk, or be startled. And the reason I like the jump scare in this one is because, when I'm watching a horror film, I find the jump scares are kind of the least effective tool in the toolbox for causing horror or self-inflicting, fear. And the reason for that is because I'm expecting it in a horror film. I'm expecting it, like the character puts his eye to the glass, like, is a corpse going to suddenly hit the glass in front of him? An alien, a zombie, whatever? Like, is a knife going to stab through that window into his eye? Like, someone's looking through a peephole. Like, whoa, I wonder what's going to happen. Or like creeping through a dungeon, or crawling through a cave, and you anticipate it. Or at the crescendo, I don't know how to say it, at the peak or trough of the soundtrack, like, da-da-da, then you expect the jump scare, or, right, like, you're expecting a jump scare in a horror film, and so, for me at least, they usually, it's not that I'm never startled by jump scares in horror films, it's just that when I am, it's not, not a very effective in my mind, at least. Like it, maybe a little startling like that. But in this film, where you have absolutely no reason to expect the jump scare, it is much more effective. Like I can't think of another. At the moment, I can't think of another similar style of film that has something just lunge out at the camera at you suddenly. Maybe, I don't know, like maybe it was just me, but I was genuinely, startled by it in the film, which I, kind of I hadn't really felt like that in quite some time, so I enjoyed it. Yeah, the final thing I want to say about it is, I guess the true ending scene is Jason Statham promising to kill, at least promising to cause trouble for the original boss gangster who's in prison. So you have, the boss gangster comes to see somebody in the prison visitor's phone, picks it up, puts it to his ear, yeah, and then I guess he looks up and sees it's Jason Statham, not whoever he thought he was meeting, and Jason is like, I'll be waiting for you when you get out. Film ends. That is kind of dumb for a number of reasons. First, the boss gangster was in the process of committing a felony. The boss gangster, his gang, buying or selling drugs or something, and they kill multiple police officers in the shootout. On top of that, the boss gangster himself drives over another police officer and may have killed one or two SWAT team members with his own pistol. So the idea that he's going to be getting out anytime soon, anytime, he just murdered a few cops and sold massive quantities of drugs and arranged a hit on a DEA agent. He's probably not getting out. I think one of those crimes would carry a life sentence. So, that's dumb, that Jason Statham would be like, I'll be waiting for you when you get out. Maybe we're supposed to infer that Jason is going to, tank the case against the boss gangster, or do something to somehow facilitate the guy getting out so that he can then kill him. But it seems hugely implausible. Like, the guy is already in jail, presumably has already been convicted of all the charges sufficient to send him to jail for life, if not death row. Yeah, in fact, almost certainly death row, since it was DEA agents after him. There is a federal death penalty, and they were DEA agents, presumably, who he killed. Anyway. Yeah, so, and again, that is the inflicting a small wound. Like, going up to your enemy and being like, I'm gonna hurt you later, that's dumb. Stop it. That's what got you into this mess in the first place. Failing to finish the job. Don't say, like, I'll get you. That's what reminds me of the book White Fang. And, White Fang is a wolf who's forced into dog fights. And all the dogs in the dog fights, they like bark and they growl and they kind of, like act tough in the beginning of the dog fight. And White Fang always just tries to bite the other dog in the neck as fast as he can to kill and win. And White Fang is a very successful dog fighter for that reason. And also because he's a wolf and the other poor dogs are just dogs. Or maybe White Fang is half wolf. I think he might just be a full wolf. But anyway, yeah, so Jason Statham is being like the average dog. I'll be waiting for you. Like, don't do it. That's ridiculous. I would have had the scene be, boss gangster, like, you got a phone call, buddy. He goes out to, yeah, who is it? Line's dead. Huh? And then from behind him, like a garrote or, a paid off inmate shivs him or something like that. Like, clean house, learn your lesson. Don't leave powerful enemies mad at you. Yeah. Anyway, it's a mediocre film. If it was on TV and nothing else good was on, and I just needed background noise, I'd probably leave it on.